Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Polemos Introduction to Myria. I'm your host, Bria, and joining me on stage is the Myria team. We have Andrew, the co founder and CTO, Brendan, the co founder and head of blockchain, and Dave, Myria's CMO. How are you guys doing?
Really well, yeah. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks for joining us. So, do you mind just starting off by telling us a little bit about Myria?
Sure. Thanks again for having us here. It's great to have the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Myria and answer your questions and what we're up to. Myria is a decentralized Ethereum layer 2 scaling solution, which we're currently building to scale digital assets, NFTs, and bring AAA blockchain gaming to the masses. So we're building many things and many games, and you'll hear more about that through the course of the AMA. But in short, we're building a game platform, the Myria NFT marketplace, a wallet, a decentralized exchange, and then also importantly, a platform where developers and publishers can also use our API integrations to build with us so they can harness our infrastructure and unlock the power and potential of their games on the blockchain. So that sort of underpins the ecosystem and the Myria metaverse. And this is all being developed right now by our gaming division and Myria Studios.
That is absolutely amazing. You guys are revolutionary in the space. Do you mind if we go into some questions about Myria?
No, that would be great. Far away.
Fantastic. So, every entity has an origin story. What is Myria's?
That's a great question. I think there's sort of two parts to this. There's sort of what does Myria mean, but also the ambition of the project, which I hope is clear from checking out Myria.com and also the content that we're pushing out. Obviously we have an ambition to build a multitude of AAA games. And as I mentioned, the platform and all the features. When it comes to the sort of the etymology of Myria, Myria comes from the word myriad, which is an ancient Greek term and is technically the number 10,000. So it means a large number. And so I think it matches the scale and ambition of what we're trying to do by building many games and working with many people. So I think that that sort of holds a lot of merit when it comes to defining our mission as a company.
And I really like that you guys also have a Greek mythology background, just kind of like we do. So, what is the biggest issue you've encountered when using interoperable NFTs throughout the metaverse?
Well, this is Andrew. I'll take a crack at that one. So I think it's sort of a canonical question. A lot of people bandy about the term interoperability, and it is a certain amount of a challenge because our goal is to create not just cosmetic interoperability, but also functional interoperability. And so for us, the challenge has been to simultaneously, or is to develop sort of a lingua franca in terms of object properties and how things fit together without actually that have meaning in all of the games without heavily impacting the constraints on the game design. So, we want to make sure that we don't paint ourselves into a corner. So, I think that in terms of interoperability, that's sort of the situation that a lot of people find themselves in, and we're working our way through it.
This is Brendan. I'll jump in to piggyback what Andrew said there about creating the lingua franca. That goes right down to the protocol layer. One of the issues I've seen in a lot of projects is that they hard code directly into the NFT contracts themselves. A lot of logic that could be sort of stripped out and placed elsewhere using sort of just traditional software best practices. We'll have a blog post on this eventually, but we have some cool ideas around stripping rules logic from the contracts themselves and having them sort of dedicated, call them rules contracts. So that we're able to maintain, as Andrew mentions, the flexibility for game designs without losing that lingua franca and without losing the ability to treat NFTs from different worlds within our metaverse interoperably. So that's just something on the actual smart contract level.
That's amazing. You guys have really thought this through. So, what is your favorite Myria game so far and why?
The one I'm most excited about is Block Royale. I just love the genre, and I just think that there's so much possibility in terms of not just how you can blockchain value to the game, but also the social interaction component to it. I mean, there are a lot of games like that, but it's just for me, that's just the one that I can't wait to play and keep pestering the team.
You want all of our answers? I'm definitely with Andrew. I grew up playing games and then had a hiatus, but it was the battle royale games that dragged me back into it. So I'm super excited about it just from a personal standpoint, but also as Andrew mentioned, it's a very social game, and as I'll hopefully have a chance to touch on. I think the more social games that we have, we find it's an even better use case for Web3. And I think most people generally in the culture, even who don't have a good understanding of Web3 right now, understand like how much these especially battle royale games can mean for people that play them. So it's fascinating in that regard also. So that's unfortunately Andrew stole my thunder. That's my favorite as well right now.
No, I have to agree. The block rail game is going to be fantastic, but I'm also pretty partial to some like hectic, battle racing as well. So I'm very excited to see Meta Rush come to life as well, which is probably a bit more casual and in nature, but equally sort of fast and furious. So I'm very excited about seeing that one come to life very soon as well.
Plus, with MetaRush, it's something that you all just kind of get together to play with your friends, and it's wild and crazy and unpredictable, but it's also very competitive, which I absolutely love. Can you guys tell us more about Myria's ambassador program?
Yeah, sure. So the Myria Ambassador Program is sort of an initiative that we've undertaken to reward and sort of engage our loyal Myrians. And so these ambassadors are sort of like part of our extended Myria family, if you will, and they're a core part of our engagement team. So they support us with reaching out, messaging, talking to the community, and spreading the word of all the things we're doing. So, sort of an integral part of our outreach and engaging with the community. And I would strongly urge anyone that wants to find out more about that, or perhaps even join the ambassador program to hop into our Discord and find out more there. But yeah, it's great to be able to have people within the community working alongside us to spread the good news.
I'm so excited for some of our Polemos members to hopefully join that program when it is released. So, what would you say to people who are on the fence about Web3?
Yes, so I will take this one and try my best to not wax too philosophical here. I've been in blockchain in some capacity or another for 10 years, so I've been defending this for about as long. But I'll bring up three points on this one. So the first is that I find that at least 75-80% of individuals I speak to who are sort of uh, reluctant to get on the Web3 train are actually, even if they're saying it's the NFTs that they don't get or it's the DEXs that they don't get, it's the idea of self-custody of assets which are resistant to inflationary impulses that they don't get. And I find that the vast majority of the time that's because they live in a Western developed country where logging into their Bank of America account, clicking send works no problem. So I think just pointing out that for 95% of the world, and even more if you expand the temporal purview, if you will, and kind of look at history, that's not how their experience with money has been. There's hyperinflation, there's state seizure of assets, which are your own. So just a lot of time pointing out, especially for, as I said, people who live in developed countries, what the rest of the world experiences as relates just asset ownership in general, I think can be really helpful as a start. The second thing I'll say is that often bringing up specific use cases can be confusing, especially if you're talking to somebody who maybe even is still trying to get their mind around why we need the internet. You know, the classic David Letterman interviewing Bill Gates, right? Hey, can I just listen to the baseball game on the radio? So use cases can be kind of confusing for them, and I think it's maybe more helpful to just make the argument that every time you remove barriers for collaboration, you necessarily increase collaboration. So by that I mean if there are currently 4 parties involved in exchanging assets, and with Web3 there are 2, there are the 2 counterparties that would like to trade, then you are going to have more collaboration by its very definition. So I think just kind of talking about what Web3 does at a theoretical level can be useful for people that are maybe reluctant to believe in the use cases about machines transacting and dealing with contracts through other machines. But having said that, the third point is as I already mentioned, I'm 10 years crypto and blockchain, but I am professionally novice in video games. But I think I really have found in this space the perfect use case to explain the last 2 points, because everybody, as I mentioned about battle royale games especially, knows somebody now who has spent hundreds or thousands of hours on these games and really considers them integral parts of what they do. So the idea that somehow you could, spend 1,000 hours on a game and then lose the asset or assets that you acquired because the game developer decides to shut down their servers is pretty crazy, and I think it's that should not be the model going forward. And Myria is obviously stepping in to help that. But then even looking into the future, games are eventually going to replicate the real world more and more, and there's just not a jurisdiction out there that could cover kind of what you're going to want to do with assets in games natively for the digital world, right? So you're not just playing with people within your state, you're playing with people all around the world. And so contract execution and arbitration needs to happen natively on some decentralized computer network like the blockchain. So as our video games start to do more and more real world activity, gambling, advertising, everything else within game, there's just no way that traditional state models of contract execution are going to suffice.
That's really an amazing explanation for it. So thank you for that.
Sure.
So is there one end of your goal you have for Myria that you can share with us?
Well, I mean, I'll jump in a little bit and slightly revise the question a bit because, as you know, my role is the CTO, and so in that position, my goal is an ongoing one, which is to ensure that for all of Myria's products, the technology and the teams are in place to allow this vision to be realized and to reach the quality level that we demand of ourselves, and also that the community demands of us. From my perspective, technology should never be a blocker for what we're trying to achieve in terms of our larger vision. So, if it's working perfectly, nobody notices. So that's sort of my ongoing prime directive.
I can say a few words. Obviously, my goals are similar with Andrew's, but then specifically for the blockchain side, I guess in short, we want the most scalable and usable L2 solution for games out there, supported by a decentralized network of community controlled and operated nodes. And we want that platform run by those decentralized network of nodes to be accessible to our user base through best-in-class applications as well as our developer suite. So that's a mouthful, but I think that's what we want, and we want it by the end of the year on the blockchain side.
I was just going to say, from my perspective, I think as the CMO and the marketing function, we're really focused on broadening the community to really let as many people out there who are excited about what we're doing engage with the amazing products that Brendan and Andrew just described. So I guess kind of selfishly, my goal is to make sure that we continue to build a really engaged community, and just tell as many people as possible about what we're doing, build out our partnerships, and just make sure that as many of our community and people are having a lot of fun playing our games. So mine's probably a little bit more fluffy, but it's about spreading the word. So yeah, that's it from me.
Fantastic. So, what can you tell us about zero knowledge technology and its security?
This is another one that I could do an hour-long presentation on, but we'll try to keep it succinct here. No pun intended with the technology itself. But in any case, so we're using zero knowledge rollup specifically. I say that because zero knowledge technology can be used both for privacy and for scaling purposes. We're using the latter. The basic idea behind zero knowledge rollups is that if you execute the bulk of the transactions off chain and simply relay back in batches information about the validity of those transactions to the L1, then you're going to greatly increase scalability, especially when you're using technology like zero knowledge, whereby you can prove a huge quantity of computation in a relatively small amount of data using some fancy compression tricks, which I won't get into here. But that's the core idea. One thing I will say is that we often talk about optimistic rollups in the space and ZK rollups, and the for you, those of you that don't know, the main difference there is that optimistic rollups rely on fraud proofs. So when you're posting back to the L1, you're basically allowed to post anything, but then observers of the network are able to see what you've posted and then post proof that you've acted erroneously if you have done so. The reason we've gone with ZK rollups is because the withdrawal speed is much faster. Because ZK rollups, you're actually proving that the transactions were valid, not just waiting for somebody to prove you incorrect about what you posted. So it's like a week for optimistic rollups, and it's as soon as you're able to validate a block or validate a batch in ZK rollups. And then, sorry, one last word I'll say is as for the security, for anybody that's kind of confused about the idea that you can prove the right to something or the prove knowledge of something without showing that thing itself, it's basically very similar to how just traditional public-private key cryptography works, in that when, for example, you sign a transaction on Ethereum, you're showing proof that you mathematically very likely had access to the private key when you executed that transaction. You don't actually show the private key itself. So zero knowledge is a similar idea, but you're just proving access to a much larger amount of data than just the private key. So that's how the security works there. So you can't bring invalid proofs back onto the L1.
That is amazing, and we will definitely have to have you back for a full hour of that because it seems like you know so much about it.
Oh, absolutely. I love this stuff.
So, in regards to that, what are the fees involved and with which currency are they paid?
Right. So we'll have a variety of fees. It's worth saying that the main fee that you pay on Ethereum is all but non-existent on our L2 solution. There won't be traditional gas fees. However, there will be fees for specific activity. So, for example, when you execute a trade on the marketplace, there will be a fee for that action, and that's like the other fees that could spring up as we build out our business. That fee will be paid in Myria, in the Myria token, which hopefully I'll have a chance to talk about.
Oh, for sure. We will definitely cover the token. I'm excited about that.
Cool.
So, are there any platforms that Myria sees as competition? And what is unique about Myria that makes people want to use its network and its platform?
Yeah, I'll say some stuff about this. I think that's a great question, and firstly, I think there's lots of people in the space who are without necessarily calling out the competition, but you can see with a quick search that we've been compared to Gala, for example, or Immutable, and which is great. And we're very supportive of everyone who's building in the space, and respectfully so. So I think There's a few kind of similarities at first glance, but you'll find that we're pretty different once you get under the hood. So I'm just sort of riffing a bit more off what Brendan said and it explained very, very coherently earlier, but we're building on Ethereum layer 2. So why that is different is it's more secure. Gala, for example, is on its own L1. And so I think, we all understand the security and risk issues that we're avoiding or negating with our process. And also the other point, which Brendan also made, which is about the sort of near zero gas fees. So that's a big point of difference. I think importantly as well from the gaming perspective, we're looking to build our own AAA games under the Myria Studios umbrella. And that's a really unique proposition. So some other players in the space don't actually build their own games. So we're building games. I guess games built by gamers and people that are incredibly passionate about the space. So and this is what Andrew spoke about earlier, is very passionate about, of course, as we all are. And so hopefully we'll see some very high quality games for gamers built by gamers. So I think that's a clear difference. We're also, and again, this was covered off earlier, but creating this interoperable NFTs. So this obviously provides a huge amount of utility across all of our games under the Myria Studios umbrella. And apart from being, super cool and fun concept, will add a lot of value to what we're doing. We're also building out a sort of Steam-like experience where gamers can access their favorite games on the Myria game launcher, and as well, this is very unique and different to what anyone else is doing. And then, finally, sort of from the development perspective, again, we sort of touched on it, but we're building this permissionless open platform where we're inviting partners and other developers to use our tools, use our expertise, engage with our community and marketing chops to help build out their games. And so just having this permissionless open platform is unique. And hopefully very exciting for a community of devs out there. So, we understand, and this is, without cutting Andrew's grass, but, a team of expert game developers building games. So we understand the challenges and what people need, and going to make this as seamless and frictionless as possible for people to work with us. So I think that's a couple of the key differences with the Myria plan and ambition compared to some of the other people and teams developing in the space.
That is absolutely amazing. And, I think that we're all here because we are gamers. And, just with Polemos, we are gamers that built this for gamers just like you guys. And it's really fantastic to hear you say all of these amazing things that are going to come to our space. And I was really excited to hear that you guys have partners with some games. So, which games have Myria partnered with already?
We have several different sort of initiatives going on here. We, of course, have our Myria Studios, which are our own internally developed games. But in terms of partner games, as you see, unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a little bit coy. You see on our website, we have Moonbill and some of these other titles, and they are being developed by some partners who are basically building a new sub studio, in some cases building a new sub studio. And so some of these things we cannot yet disclose yet. So in other words, just for reasons of industry secrecy, and also just to sort of keep everybody excited, we do have a bunch of things that I really want to be able to talk about in terms of who we're partnering with, not just studios themselves or game companies, also content owners and IP owners. Unfortunately, I can't go into all of that right now, but I encourage everybody to stay tuned because we are going to be having some big announcements coming up in the next few weeks and months.
That is very exciting to look forward to. So we will definitely stay tuned and make sure that we announce it within our Discord when you guys have some good news about these new games. So, for people that are interested, what are the criteria to partner with a game in the Myriaverse?
Yeah, so we are absolutely, indeed, we are looking to onboard high quality games onto our chain and to our ecosystem. So if you have a great project and you're interested in partnering with us, then please reach out through any of a number of different channels. However, I would like to emphasize we really want to ensure a very high quality experience, and so games that want to be partners, they need to have a good solid game uh, that they're working on, that they've got pretty far along, and it's got to be in good shape, got to be mostly done, polished gameplay experience, and the economy needs to be something which is very adaptable to blockchain and Web3. I mean, I think we've all seen games that just don't seem to lend themselves. I mean, they're fun games, but they just don't seem to be blockchainifiable. Um, so yeah,
Definitely. And that's really great that you guys are taking that into account because that's something that's really important to us as well. We want to make sure that we are promoting games that are going to last. And I think that Myria is just going to help us just get through everything that the market is kind of seeing right now. So I'm very excited to hear about that. So will all partnered games be operable on the same network? Or can they be on different ones such as Ethereum, Polygon, or Solana, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I'll take this one. So I want to say first of all that Myria believes long term in the success of Ethereum. That's why we're building our L2 on top of Ethereum. To quote Microsoft's co-founder Steve Ballmer, developers. Ethereum has by far and away the greatest number of developers on there, and I think that's going to make a big impact long term. So currently, all games, both internal and external, will be on Ethereum as their L1, and obviously the Myria L2 solution as their L2. But what I will say about support of other networks is, as we've mentioned a few times, a big focus is the developer suite we're working on. That's largely for making it easier for developers, web, mobile, and game to connect to the Myria L2. But a big focus of ours as well will be making it much easier for projects which are down the road or already launched on some of these other networks to very easily migrate both primarily to Ethereum and then obviously into Myria's L2 solution through our bridging scheme there. So we'll be working on making that a seamless process, even if you've been a game that's deployed, 10 different projects on Solana. It's going to be easy for you to make your way to what we think will be the most successful NFT network out there, which will be Myria's L2.
That's amazing. So I do want to touch on the Myria marketplace. So which currencies can be used there, and what are the fees involved, and what are they used for? And is there any cash back or even revenue distribution?
Yeah, good question. I'll stay on for this one. So first of all, as for currencies which are operable on the Myria marketplace, because we're hooked directly into Ethereum as our L1, any currency which is on Ethereum, as in ERC20, or even Ethereum natively, obviously, will be available to be used in our L2 and in our marketplace. As I mentioned, the fees themselves will be paid in the Myria utility token, but the purchase of NFTs or other in-game assets, etc., can be with a variety of currencies. Any currency that is out there on Ethereum, we can technically support. The fees is one of the ways that Myria makes money. So that's a revenue driver for Myria, which to your question about what are we doing with it? Well, revenue for Myria means we expand and we build more products for the community, right? So that means more games and it means a better developer experience for other games out there that are building on our platform. So that's what it's for. That's what it's funding. And then there's no plans for a direct kind of revenue redistribution model at this stage. But what we will say is that the public node sale will be coming up, and nodes will be directly incentivized to support the success of the network. Not a revenue distribution model as such, but obviously the nodes will be rewarded for contributing to the network. And as the network becomes more popular and is more successful, one of the indicators of which will be obviously the volume on the Myria marketplace, the nodes will be rewarded for that success.
Very nice. And I did notice on your social media that you guys go in depth about nodes. So be sure to check out twitter.com/Myria games for more information on that. What can you tell us about your partners and how involved they are in Myria at this point?
Sure. So again, I'll be marginally reserved and coy in my response, as Andrew was with the game partners. But we've been very lucky so far to get some fantastic strategic partners on board early doors around the private node sale. So we've been partnering with people in sort of three key strategic areas, if you will. And there's obviously yourselves and KOLs, guilds, and VCs. So there are a couple of names that the community might be aware of. So with regards to KOLs, we're sort of working on partnerships with people like Mr. Beast, CryptoLark, for example. And in the investment VC community, we're working with Master Ventures and MetaVest. And then, of course, very importantly, with guilds, Avocado Guild, IDG, GGG. So that's just a few, but as you just said, we will be announcing partnerships for people that are interested quite frequently. So keep an eye on us on Twitter, please. Turn the announcements on so you don't miss out on anything. And we've had a lot of support, and we're just working through ways in which we can utilize our partnerships to help add value to everyone in the community. So yeah, more information coming, but as you can see from that, we've had some fantastic support so far. So looking forward to telling you more about that very soon.
You did some great name drops there, so I cannot wait for the future. We have gathered that Myria will have a wallet. So will it be available on PC exclusively, or will it be available on mobile devices as well on launch? And can it also be used with a cold wallet?
Yes, all very good questions. The answer in short is that for MVP, it will be browser based, and then based on sort of the demands and feedback from the community, we will prioritize either mobile or native PC after that, but both of which are slated for future developments. And one thing I will say about kind of wallet development in general is that we want the best experience for our users, full stop. And so all of the APIs that and SDKs and tooling that we're using to create our initial release of the wallet will be completely available to the public. So if it ends up being another company that specializes in wallets that comes on board and creates an even better wallet than our own, then we're not going to make it more difficult to use theirs. We're going to push people to use theirs because we want, as I said, the best experience for the community. So any of you wallet developers that are out there, feel free to come talk to me. But that goes for all of our products, which I should say is that we're going to make this stuff, as Dave mentioned, an open platform to develop on, and we're always going to be supporting the best solution. So it will be ours at the beginning, and it could be somebody else's in the future. But anyway, browser for the beginning, and PC, mobile, and cold wallet to come.
That sounds like you guys are listening to your community and you're going to provide a lot of accessibility options. So great job, guys. Another thing, so it's said on the website that Myria Studios is creating a range of free-to-play AAA games spanning across an entire interconnected ecosystem. Can you tell us more about these AAA games, and are they operational now?
Yeah, as we've said on our website, you can already see some of the games that we're building out. So we're super excited about Block Royale and Star Strike and Meta Rush, and we've got our teams hard at work on building them. So they are still in progress, and we're very aware that the community likes to be involved and have early looks, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that they have a good experience. The games are currently not yet live, but we will be having our first looks for some of the games coming up soon. So, uh, yeah.
And I really appreciate that you guys are taking your time and making sure to get things right. It really shows that you are dedicated to your project, and that's very, very wonderful to hear. So earlier we did discuss the Myria token. So what is Myria token and how will it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as promised, I will speak to this one. So, Myria token is a ERC20 utility token, like the most of them out there. I will speak in a moment about what we mean by utility because it's quite extensive. But also about the token and just the token economics briefly. So there will be a maximum supply of 50 billion Myria tokens, and that's a hard cap, which will be in the contract itself. So this isn't something that later down the line we can say, it would be nice to have just 10 billion more that we can give to a developer or something like that. That's not going to happen, meaning that we're resistant to inflationary impulses. And that will also be unlocked in a predetermined schedule, which lasts for 60 months from the token launch. What the token launch will be is something that we're working both internally and with our community on. We were originally considering an IBCO, which we thought could be a fair way to do it. It looks like we won't do that now, but we are speaking with listing partners, Binance and CoinList, on figuring out what the best way to bring our token to market is. Then circling back as to what I mean by it's an ERC20 utility token, not just an ERC20 token. It's a lot. We're not just paying lip service to its utility. It's going to be used for a lot in the Myria ecosystem, so that it'll be used quickly. It'll be used for example, the Myria node purchase. So when we have our launch, the public sale of nodes, you'll purchase that with the Myria token. As I mentioned, all of the protocol fees, including the marketplace fees, will be with the Myria token. And then you'll always have the option in our marketplace to use our token as well. And then there'll also be in-game utility, including additional in-game benefits, both in our internal games as well as likely with our partners for Myria token holders. And then as we start to expand to additional areas of this ever expanding space, for example, a Myriaverse land purchase is likely in the works. That would be with the Myria token as well. And then your traditional utility stuff is not lost on us. Staking and Myriaverse governance will also be part of what the token does. So it's doing a lot, but we think that's beneficial for the community at large.
I mean, you guys seem so experienced and so knowledgeable about everything that you're doing. So, do you mind just telling us about the team behind Myria?
Sure. Well, that's very kind of you to say, and so thank you. I think the team is really being recruited and formed around the vision that our CEO John set out, and of course, feel free to jump onto the website myria.com, and you can have a peep at some of the members of the team. Everyone's sort of doxed, so it's very important for us to attend things like this and let you know who we are. But without sort of boring you and reading through everyone's CVs, I'd encourage you to have a look. But obviously, Brendan and Andrew and myself are here today with a wealth of experience in blockchain and gaming. And then we also have Ivan, who couldn't make it today. He's the VP of Games, has a lot of experience in the games industry, worked at Gameloft, Ubisoft, and so on. And then many more people. AJ, for example, our creative lead, has worked with big global brands like Nike, Adidas, Microsoft, and many more. So go and have a look there if you want more specific information about the core team. But what we can say is that the team sits at about 100 strong today, I think, and that's made up of, as you'd expect, very passionate, experienced game designers, blockchain developers, product managers, engineers, artists, and many, many more people, of course, to make all this happen. You'll probably also see, if you visit our careers page, that we're hiring furiously to get people to help us bring this to reality. So we've been growing at a very high rate, and I think it's fair to say, Andrew might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've got 100 internal devs, and then of course external partners who are also working with us. So probably about 150 on the team. So a sizable team and growing. And lots of expertise in house. Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. It sounds like you guys are really passionate about going to market with this. I'm so excited. And I also saw that your next month's AMA is going to be held on YouTube, and all of your core leaders will be showing their faces.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how exciting it'll be to see all our faces at the various times of day, but we'll do our best to look smart and presentable for you guys. Hopefully, it's not 3 a.m. for Brendan, but we're very excited about that. So please, watch out on Twitter, and please do join us. We're very happy to show you all who we are.
So, if every game on Myria is free to play, how does Myria generate revenue?
Yeah, I can take this one just because I've already spoken briefly about one of our revenue streams, which is the marketplace fees. And then obviously it's free to play the game, but we're going to have primary sales of NFTs within those games that will also help drive revenue for the business. But let me just reiterate that point that all of us on the leadership team and across the organization are genuinely excited about making this into the gaming company in blockchain, meaning that the revenue that we get in is getting put right back into in most cases the development of, as I said, the products that we're working on and are excited about. So we're building a sustainable business, and we're going to be expanding it as rapidly as possible. So more revenue is good for everybody.
That is fantastic. So I think that's kind of it for me, unless you guys have any other little sneak peeks for us.
I mean, I will just mention that it's not really a sneak peek, but just a reminder for everyone that we do have an event coming up soon, which is where people have the ability to claim their free sigil NFT for a limited period of time. So I'd strongly encourage everyone to keep an eye out for that, and that will be happening very soon. And then, of course, please do follow us on all socials. As we've said throughout this conversation, we've got lots and lots of news coming with regards to the platform, partners, the games, and community events. So watch out for that one coming really soon, just around the corner. Please keep in touch. And thanks very much for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that everybody here jumps into all of their channels. Their website is myria.com. Follow them on Twitter. That is twitter.com/myriagames. And join their Discord for announcements. That's discord.gg/Myria. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Again, Andrew, Brendan, Dave, you've just been phenomenal to speak with today. And I'm really glad that we got to give an introduction to our community about Myria.
Great. Well, thanks for having us. It's a great time.
Yeah, this is good. Hope to talk again sometime.
Absolutely. to have you back. So that is it for our introduction to Myria, but we hope to see you guys back again soon. And everybody have a fantastic day.
Ciao.
Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody.